They said it couldn't be done anymore. Not in modern racing. Not with that schedule. Not with that pressure. But Justify didn't just win the Triple Crown. He broke the rules people thought were permanent. No races at 2 years old. A late start. A short runway. And still, he walked into the biggest spotlight in America and took the crown like it belonged to him. Because this story isn't only he won the Derby, it's how he did it. From a debut in February to a Derby win in May, then surviving the Preakness in chaos, and finally going wire to wire in the Belmont to finish the Triple Crown. And the wildest part? He never lost a single race. So what kind of horse wins history's hardest trilogy and stays undefeated? In the next few minutes, I'll break it down in the simplest, most powerful way. The curse he shattered, the lightning-fast rise that shocked the sport, the 3 races that built a legend, and the team behind him, Bob Baffert and Mike Smith, who helped execute a perfect plan under impossible pressure. By the end, you'll understand why Justify isn't just a winner. He's a warning to every "that can't happen" story. They called it the Apollo Curse, and for more than a century, it scared people away from believing. Here's what it meant in the simplest way. In the Kentucky Derby, almost every winner had raced as a 2-year-old. Not because it was a rule, but because it seemed like a law of nature. Young racers were supposed to build a Derby horse. Experience, toughness, practice in traffic, proof that the horse could handle chaos. And then there was this one huge warning sign. Since a horse named Apollo won the Derby in 1882, no other horse had won the Kentucky Derby without racing at 2. Year after year, the same story repeated. Great horses showed talent, but if they didn't run at 2, people would whisper, "That's it, the curse will get them." So when Justify showed up in 2018, he wasn't just fighting other horses, he was fighting a belief. He didn't have that perfect traditional resume. He hadn't raced at 2. He didn't have a long list of early trophies to make everyone comfortable. Instead, he had raw power, confidence, and a timeline that looked almost ridiculous. People kept asking the same question. Can a horse really show up late and still win the biggest race in America? That's why his Kentucky Derby attempt felt bigger than a normal Derby, because it wasn't only about speed. It was about whether modern racing could break an old pattern that had stood for over 100 years. And when the Derby day arrived, the pressure wasn't quiet. It was loud. Every camera, every headline, every fan and critic. If he lost, everyone would say the same thing. "See, that's why you need to race at 2. The curse would live on. But Justify didn't run like a horse trying to prove people wrong. He ran like a horse who never accepted the curse in the first place. He faced the madness of the Derby, noise, traffic, pressure, and still found the answer. When Justify won, it wasn't just a victory, it was a wall coming down. It was the moment the Apollo curse stopped being a rule people feared and became a myth people remembered. And that is why Justify's story starts with one word: impossible, until it isn't. Justify's rise wasn't just fast. It was the kind of fast that makes people nervous. Because in horse racing, too fast usually means something breaks before the finish line. His racing career didn't begin with a long build-up or a slow climb. Justify made his debut on February 18th, 2018. That date matters because the Kentucky Derby is in early May. In the racing world, that's barely any time. Most Derby winners have been racing since they were 2 years old, stacking experience, learning how to fight through crowds, learning how to stay calm when horses are bumping and dirt is flying. Justify didn't have that. He walked into the biggest spotlight in American racing, with a resume that looked almost unreal, like someone skipped pages in the story. And that's why the internet still searches it. Justify debut and fastest road to Triple Crown. People want to know how a horse can appear out of nowhere, win quickly, and then aim straight at the most brutal three-race challenge in the sport. Because the Derby isn't just a test of speed, it's a test of life experience. It's 20 horses, noise, chaos, and pressure so heavy you can feel it through the screen. A horse needs time to learn how to handle that, or so everyone believed. But Justify didn't move like a beginner. He moved like he already knew. Each start didn't just add another win, it added another level of disbelief. The timeline was shrinking, and the expectations were growing. With every race, the same question got louder. How is he doing this so quickly? And that question is exactly what made him go viral. A normal journey is predictable. A normal journey is safe. Justify's journey was the opposite. It was risky, bold, and almost rude to tradition, like he was challenging the whole sports rulebook without saying a word. That's what made the run to the Derby feel like a countdown. Not just will he win, but can he even keep improving fast enough? Because in that short window, every workout mattered, every decision mattered, and every day mattered. There was no time to waste and no room to hide. Justify didn't just race toward the Derby. He sprinted toward it, dragging the entire sport's attention behind him. And by the time he arrived at Churchill Downs, it didn't feel like a horse entering a race. It felt like a storm arriving on schedule. The Kentucky Derby isn't just a race. It's a pressure test with a finish line. It's loud, it's crowded, it's messy, and it happens once a year with the whole world staring. 20 horses, one narrow track, and a stampede of talent fighting for the same space. This is where favorites get trapped, where dreams get bumped, and where a single bad second can destroy months of preparation. And in 2018, the pressure on Justify was different. He wasn't just trying to win the Derby, he was trying to prove that his entire story wasn't a mistake. He hadn't raced at 2. He had raced only a short time. People were still arguing whether he belonged here at all. The Derby was supposed to expose him. Then the rain came. The track at Churchill Downs turned sloppy and muddy, the kind of surface that can ruin a horse's rhythm and make the race feel like running through glue. Some horses hate it. Some slip into panic. And when the conditions get ugly, the Derby becomes even more cruel, because the chaos doubles. Mud in the face, traffic everywhere, and no clean path. That's when Justify did something champions do. He didn't complain. He didn't hesitate. He didn't look for a perfect setup. He took the race by the throat. From the start, he put himself where a Derby horse needs to be, close to the front, away from trouble, controlling the pace instead of begging for luck. But it wasn't easy. Horses came at him, pressure pressed in, and the Derby's noise kept rising. One rival in particular mattered for the story. Good Magic, the champion 2-year-old from the previous season. That matchup gave people a simple headline to follow: the powerful newcomer versus the proven class. And when the final stretch arrived, when weaker horses start fading and real champions show their heart, Justify answered the biggest question on earth. Can he hold on? He did. Justify crossed the line first and became the Kentucky Derby winner. And in that moment, the conversation changed. Before the Derby, people asked, is he real? After the Derby, they asked, is he unstoppable? Because the Derby win wasn't only his first Triple Crown step, it was the moment he turned doubt into belief. The fast rise stopped sounding reckless and started sounding legendary. And once a horse wins the Kentucky Derby, the next part isn't just racing, it's history chasing him. 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby, the sport doesn't give you a celebration. It gives you another trap. It's called the Preakness Stakes, and it's where Derby dreams go to get wrecked. Because now, every rival has studied you. Every trainer has planned for you. And the whole world expects you to carry the pressure like it's nothing, when your body is still recovering from the most chaotic race of your life. In 2018, Justify walked into the Preakness with something heavier than a saddle on his back: expectations. People weren't asking if he was good anymore. They were asking if he was real enough to keep history alive. And then the weather turned the race into a nightmare. Rain soaked Pimlico. The track became sloppy. And as post time came closer, a thick fog rolled in. So heavy that even watching it felt strange, like the race was happening inside a cloud. That fog became part of the legend because it matched the moment. Unclear, risky, and full of doubt. When the gates opened, Justify didn't hesitate. He went forward and put himself in the fight immediately. That matters because in a muddy race, you don't want to get buried behind horses eating dirt and losing balance. You want control. You want position. You want to avoid trouble before trouble finds you. But the Preakness is never simple. Horses came at him. The pace pressed him. And down the stretch, the race turned into a test of heart, not just speed, because this is where a horse starts to feel the cost of the Derby. This is where legs get heavy and the dream starts to wobble. And yet Justify held firm. He fought through those conditions: mud, fog, pressure, and stayed strong when the challengers tried to take the moment away. That's what made this win feel different from the Derby. The Derby was chaos. The Preakness was grit. The Derby asked, "Can you survive the storm?" The Preakness asked, "Can you do it again when you're tired and everyone is hunting you?" Justify answered with a win. And the second he crossed the finish line, the story escalated. Because now, it wasn't talk anymore. Now, it was math. One race left. One mountain left. One word, the whole country starts whispering again: Belmont. The Preakness win didn't just keep his Triple Crown bid alive, it proved something scarier for the competition. Justify wasn't just talented, he was stubborn, he was built for pressure, and he was not done. The Belmont Stakes doesn't care what you did in the Kentucky Derby, it doesn't care what you survived in the Preakness. The Belmont asks one brutal question: are you a champion or just a moment? They call it the test of the champion for a reason. It's longer, it's quieter in a scary way, and it gives a horse enough distance to feel every doubt, every ounce of pressure, every tired step from the last 2 races. This is where Triple Crown dreams usually die, not because the horses aren't talented, but because the task is almost unfair. And in 2018, Justify walked into that test with the whole country staring. He wasn't just trying to win a race, he was trying to finish a story that was moving too fast to feel real. Debut in February, Kentucky Derby winner in May, Preakness winner 2 weeks later, and now, 1 race away from immortality. What made the Belmont even more dangerous is that it doesn't have to be chaotic to destroy you. Sometimes it defeats you with patience. It tempts you into going too fast early. It dares you to relax. It makes you think you're safe, and then it punishes you for believing it. But Justify didn't play scared. In the Belmont Stakes, he went wire to wire, meaning he took the lead early and never gave it up. That is a bold way to win a race like this, because it means you can't hide. You can't wait for someone else to make a mistake. You're the target from start to finish. Every challenger is chasing your shadow, hoping you finally weaken. And Justify didn't. Stride after stride, he kept control. He stayed strong through the long backstretch, through the far turn, through the place where many Triple Crown bids start to wobble. And when the stretch arrived, when the finish line finally came into view, he didn't fade into fear. He held his ground and finished the job. Justify won the Belmont Stakes and became the 13th Triple Crown winner in American history. His winning time was 2 minutes, 28.18 seconds for a mile and a half. Another detail fans still search and repeat because it sounds like a signature on the moment. That's what this win was, a signature. The Belmont wasn't the loudest race, it was the heaviest. And when Justify crossed that finish line first, it wasn't just victory, it was relief, history, and proof. Proof that a horse who arrived too late could still arrive right on time anyway. Winning the Triple Crown makes you famous, but being named Horse of the Year makes you official, because trophies from races are one kind of proof, but the Eclipse Awards are different. They're the sport looking back at the entire year and saying, out of everyone, this was the one. Not just one hot day, not just one lucky trip, the whole body of work, the full impact. And after 2018, Justify didn't just leave with memories, he left with the biggest titles American racing can give. He was named American Horse of the Year for 2018 at the Eclipse Awards. He was also voted champion 3-year-old male, and that one matters because it tells you he didn't just win the Triple Crown. He dominated his division so clearly that the vote wasn't even close. The message from the sport was simple. This was the standard. Now, why do these awards hit so hard in Justify's story? Because his entire rise was built on doubt. People questioned his lack of racing at 2. People questioned his short path to the Derby. People questioned whether the pressure would catch up with him. And every time the questions got louder, he answered with performance. So when the year ended, the awards became the final closing argument. The sport itself confirmed that what you watched wasn't hype, it was greatness. And there's another reason this part is so powerful. Justify's racing career was short, intense, and perfect. He didn't stick around for years stacking safe wins. He sprinted into history, stayed undefeated, and left the stage. That means these awards aren't just nice extras. They are the official label on a rare kind of career, one that burns bright and fast and still leaves a permanent mark. So when you say Justify Horse of the Year, you're not just adding another title. You're saying the entire season bowed to him. You're saying he didn't just win 3 races. He owned the conversation, the headlines, the fear in other barns, and the belief in the stands. In simple words, the Triple Crown made him legendary to fans. Horse of the Year made him legendary to history. If you want the clearest proof that Justify wasn't just a hype wave, don't start with opinions. Start with the one thing no one can argue with: results. Justify ran 6 races in his entire career. He won all 6. He never lost, not once, not on a bad day, not when conditions got ugly, not when the pressure got historic. And that undefeated record is exactly why his name stays searchable. Because people don't just search Justify Triple Crown. They search things like Justify Undefeated, Justify Record, and how many races did Justify run? They're trying to understand how a horse could step into the biggest spotlight in American racing win the 3 hardest races back-to-back, and leave without ever being beaten. That's the part that feels unreal. Most horses build a career over years. They race through ups and downs. They take losses, bounce back, try again. Justify didn't. His career was short, intense, and perfectly clean, like a lightning strike that hit and vanished before anything could stop it. And that creates a different kind of legend, because when a horse is undefeated, the story becomes pure. There's no what if. There's no he would have won if. There's no debate about whether the big moment was a fluke. All you have is a straight line, start to finish, 6 starts, 6 wins, perfect record. He also earned about $3,798,000 in prize money during that run. Another detail fans love because it proves these weren't small, easy wins. These were major races, major stakes, and major pressure. But the most powerful part of Justify's record isn't the money or the count. It's what that record says about his mentality. In every race, the world kept raising the stakes. First it was, can he even belong? Then it became, can he win the Derby? Then it turned into, can he handle the Preakness? Then it became the biggest question of all, can he survive the Belmont and become a Triple Crown winner? And every single time, his answer was the same, a win. So when you hear, Justify was undefeated, understand what you're really hearing. You're hearing that in the most intense season of his life, with the whole sport chasing him, he never showed the world a weakness. That's not just a record. That's a legacy. Most Triple Crown winners leave the track with a crown on their head and a question following them. What happens next? For Justify, next mattered more than usual, because his racing career was short and perfect. He didn't have a long list of comebacks or late career chapters. He left the sport undefeated, which means his legend stayed clean. And it also meant the world immediately wanted to know 2 of the most searched questions about him. Where is Justify now? And did Justify have babies that can win? After racing, Justify retired to Ashford Stud in Versailles, Kentucky, part of Coolmore. This is where champions go to begin a second career, not in front of crowds, but behind the scenes, shaping the next generation. In racing, a horse's legacy isn't only what he wins, it's what he produces. And Justify didn't just become a famous name at stud, he became a serious sire. Over time, Justify's offspring started winning at the highest level, Grade 1 and Group 1, in different countries and on different tracks. That's important because it proves his greatness wasn't just a single hot season. It shows that what he had, speed, class, competitive fire, could be passed forward. Fans and breeders love this part of the story because it answers a hard question. Was he a one-time miracle, or is he a true bloodline changer? His results as a sire push the story toward bloodline changer. And the cultural side of his legacy is just as strong. Justify became one of those rare horses whose name stays alive online even after retirement. People keep replaying his Belmont. People keep searching Justify undefeated. People keep arguing where he ranks among Triple Crown winners, because he represents something that feels almost impossible in modern sports, a perfect record under maximum pressure. So when you end your video, this is the clean takeaway. Justify didn't only break a curse, he didn't only win the Derby, Preakness, and Belmont. He didn't only retire undefeated, he went on to stand at Ashford Stud and continue his story through the next generation. Some champions end at the finish line. Justify's legacy kept running, just in a different form. Justify didn't just win the Triple Crown, He smashed the excuses. No races at 2, a late start, and still he conquered the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont, when the pressure was at its heaviest. And he didn't leave the sport with a what if. He left it undefeated, clean, complete, and unforgettable. That's why his name stays searched. Justify Triple Crown. Justify Belmont. Justify Record. Justify Undefeated. Because people don't rewatch normal wins, they rewatch history. If this story hit you, subscribe for more racing legends and comment one word, Justify. Anyway,